The Nintendo Switch might not be the first console that comes to mind, whether you want to play a sports game by yourself or with others, because of its excellent visuals and AAA games. In fact, Nintendo's hybrid console doesn't even get the majority of officially sanctioned sports titles, like NHL and Madden, released. But Nintendo has never depended on outside assistance to succeed. The business gets around the fact that some of the most popular games in the market aren't available on its platform by developing its own sports games, which typically include Mario and his friends. Compared to the PS5 and Xbox, the Nintendo Switch has more sports-specific unique titles, but not all of them can be perfect. Nintendo characters compete against one another in the majority of Switch's exclusive sports games for glory. One of the rare exceptions, Soccer Slammers, seems like it would have benefited from a cameo or some sort of plot twist. 2 vs 2 matches are featured in this soccer game in the form of an arcade, along with drab backgrounds and gameplay. The content is likewise quite scant. This is sad because Jules Watson, the director of the Wonderful Mutant Mudds series, was unable to translate the endearing design and captivating gameplay of those games to Soccer Slammers. For the Wii, Mario, and Sonic first squared off at the Olympics, and they still reunite every few years for their next matchup. The two mascots compete in competitions like gymnastics, boxing, and baton twirling to determine who can win gold along with their allies and rivals. Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 does a great job of providing a wide range of playable characters and events, but neither one has enough nuance to present a genuine challenge. The single-player mode is really dull, and playing against the CPU is as boring, so the game is at its best when you play with friends. The inclusion of 16-bit events is fun for a while, but after playing around a few times it loses its appeal. Compared to tennis or golf, soccer has not been played by Mario, Luigi, and the rest of the team nearly as much. The original Mario Strikers game was released for the GameCube in 2005, and a follow-up title was produced for the Wii only a few years later. The majority of Mario's sports titles were first released on the NES or N64. Even though it's amazing to see Mario Strikers return after more than a decade, Battle League doesn't add anything new to the franchise, and has even less substance than its predecessors. The advent of the gear system, which enables you to customize a character with new garments that also affect their numbers, represents the biggest shift. Next Level Games has been on the decline with the last 2 Luigi's Mansion entries, so it's surprising to see them drop the ball with Mario Strikers Battle League. Many people prefer playing golf with friends since it is often a slower sport, which helps them unwind and have fun. From the comfort of your own home, the Mario Golf series has always been able to reproduce a comparable sensation. The franchise has historically been distinguished by a diverse cast of characters and dozens of imaginative courses, and Mario Golf Super Rush largely carries on that tradition. One of the main complaints against Super Rush, like the other Mario sports games for the Switch, was the paucity of material at first. The game is still receiving updates more than a year later, but that wasn't the only problem. Super Rush introduces a new mode called Speed Golf, where players race to see who can get their ball into the hole the fastest. Another interesting gimmick that quickly loses its appeal after just a few turns. Mario typically spends his free time partying, racing go-karts, or playing tennis with his friends, when he's not protecting Princess Peach from Bowser or working on a movie. In 1995, Mario appeared on the court for the first time on the Virtual Boy, and nearly 3 decades later, his backswing is at its best. There was a lot of pressure on Mario Tennis Aces to redeem the brand after Mario Tennis. Ultra Smash for the Wii U failed to appeal to audiences. Thankfully, Aces improves upon its predecessor by having more precise controls, fewer gimmicks, and an enjoyable single-player campaign. It's still missing some of the multiplayer modes that help the N64 and GameCube versions gain notoriety, but it's still a good game to play alone or with friends. It's incredible that Nintendo waited 5 years to release Wii Sports' spiritual successor for the Switch. The Joy-Con are ideal for recreating the straightforward and understandable controls that were crucial to Wii Sports' popularity, because the original is one of the most played video games of all time. In addition to presenting new sports like badminton and soccer, Nintendo Switch Sports features well-known ones like tennis and bowling. In contrast to Wii Sports, you can compete online against other players, and amass new accessories and emotes for your character. More sports like golf will be released in the future, and if the current crop is just as fun to play, Nintendo Switch Sports has the potential to be a staple game for any Switch owner. The Wii U was originally slated to host the release of Golf Story. It was ultimately postponed, and with Nintendo's assistance, the Switch version was released in 2017. Golf Story is not only the first sports game released exclusively for the platform, but it's also the best and most captivating title available. In the end, Golf Story is more than just a sports game. It's also an RPG with fascinating characters and an amazing plot. It's enjoyable to socialize with the locals in between rounds, and to invest your hard-earned money in new tools and abilities. Golf is simple to understand, making it a fun game for beginners as well. Golf Story is frequently compared to Stardew Valley, because to its originality in the simulation genre and aesthetic, and its special concept makes it one of the best games in the magnificent library of the Switch, in addition to being the best sports game that is exclusive to the console.